Thanks for having me here. We really appreciate the opportunity to be able to disclose some of the things that our company is looking to do in the near term and midterm. It's an exciting time and we're glad to be part of this. COMSovereign exists for the sole purpose of being able to do end-to-end networks and telecommunications. Any of the subunits that we do have within the company serve that, and they fill a certain niche, and together all of those subunits come together to make a sole source solution for telecom. I'm going to leave the technical parts of that to our CTO, but suffice to say this is a large market, one of the largest on the globe right now, and one that really needs a lot more understanding from the consumers as to what it is. And that's what Dustin will be explaining shortly.
Thanks so much for having us on today. I really appreciate the opportunity to dispel some of the myths about 5G. I think there's a lot of information floating around these days, and it's great to have the opportunity to give the actual current status of things. When you look around and you look at the media today and we talk about the race to 5G, it's really a hype machine which is designed to make you go buy a new phone and upgrade your service. In reality, it's a very small number of locations, and even in those locations, the service will be spotty. There isn't a comprehensive coverage in most locations as of today. And again, the focal point is specifically around improved bandwidth. In a lot of cases, to be honest, it doesn't even excel or achieve greater speeds than you can with your existing 4G. So if you think of what 5G today, it's mostly a marketing campaign. As I was mentioning, the real value has not yet evolved to be as comprehensive as what it will get to over the coming years. And that's part of where COMSovereign comes in, which is moving beyond the hype machine, moving beyond 5G as an enablement to my smartphone to all of the new and interesting applications that are emerging today, but still have a significant amount of development.
You know, in any company, especially a large telecom company, you have two ways of growing. You can either grow organically, internally, and develop those capabilities, or you can acquire them. COMSovereign has done a little of both. We're actually growing internally at leaps and bounds technically. The ability to manufacture, design, test new equipment that will be state-of-the-art. In fact, some of the most sophisticated telecom equipment on the planet is coming out literally this year in a couple of quarters. However, there are niches that we've acquired. For instance, in any network, you're going to have two bookends. We call it the backhaul end, which backhauls large data from cell tower to cell tower and eventually into an internet node. And you have the front end, or the edge, an access network. And that is really what communicates with each of your IoT devices, whether it be driverless cars or telephones or traffic signals. Those types of things are your front edge. And those apps or those applications are increasing monthly. We're discovering new things that need to connect to this Internet of Things. And Dustin will explain the 5G, what it really is and what it isn't, so you can understand what you as an investor or as a consumer need to know about the 5G infrastructure.
Somewhat of a myth from the standpoint of what we look around and see these days gives us the impression really that 5G is a deployed and mature product from the standpoint of the customers. When we look around and we see all of the current media around, whether it's the commercials for consumers getting 5G phones, whether it's around broadband networks that are currently under development or being deployed, in reality, we have to take a step back and look at really the current status is 4G is the predominant network within pretty much the world. In reality, 5G is just emerging. If you look in what the actual expectation is, we're talking about a 10 to 15 year rollout. We're only just now emerging into the first services and what's called enhanced mobile broadband. And what that is basically the connection to your phone, right? The handset is what we think of as far as mobile broadband data. When we look out into the future, however, the real interesting part of 5G is what comes after the handset. We talk about IoT, people have heard sort of the Internet of Things aspect. We start looking at some of the new and interesting things in autonomy, whether it's vehicles or AR and VR, which is, the virtual reality component of being able to see smart objects and being able to understand how those technologies blend together. Those are still roadmap items. They don't even exist in the standard today. We have a ways to go before 5G really becomes the focal point for a lot of the new and interesting applications on our roadmap. From a standpoint of our company, we are focused on that aspect. We are looking down the road to where the new and interesting becomes part of the 5G enablement. That is end-to-end solutions for things like smart factories, for things like autonomous systems, for things like augmented and virtual reality components. That is where 5G really becomes compelling. There's only so much interest in having broader connectivity to my phone, right? I don't need Netflix in 12 seconds. In fact, I need about an hour and a half to watch a movie, so going faster doesn't really help me. Where the real value comes in is, again, when those new services are enabled on top of what is the 5G emerging standard. And I'd like to focus on the fact that it is actually under evolution. The current standard is not finished. There are several more releases planned over the coming years, which creates a lot of new and interesting services that don't even exist yet. So we have to be aware that when we talk about 5G, it's a long ways from being finished. There is no done. It is an evolution. From the standpoint of being able to purchase products and enable different types of applications, we have some work to do.
COMSovereign is different. COMSovereign makes the claim that we can do end-to-end networks. Now, there are OEM pieces to that, but there are no other companies we're aware of in the US that say they can put together an entire network from end to end. Now, there are disparate portions and pieces of that. There are companies that make backhaul, microwave backhaul equipment. There are companies that do virtualization. There are companies that do front-edge access. There are companies that do, for instance, American Tower, that do the tower solutions. But not a single company that's US made is as comprehensive as the big three, which we refer to as Nokia, Ericsson, and Huawei. COMSovereign is different. We actually are building that as a US-based, US supply chain, US invented, tested, manufactured, all here. And that makes us very unique. In COMSovereign's formation stage, which lasted about 2 years, it was the research, the negotiation, and the acquisition of the various portions that would comprise COMSovereign's core business, which again is end-to-end networks. We have acquired those, we have stitched them together and brought them into a single organism. During that time, we had limited revenues, of course. During this time now, post-offering of our stock and uplist to Nasdaq, we are now committed to elevation and a ramp up of the revenues that we've expected. I think you'll see between 8 and 10 times revenue increase in this year, 2021, over the previous years. Considering the team we've put together and the abilities we've put together with our subunits, and the fact that we've just done our Nasdaq uplist and have an equity offering behind us, we are elated with how this year is progressing so far already. I think there's some real exciting pieces that you're going to see and be privy to in the next quarter to 2 quarters that are going to give any investor extreme confidence in COMSovereign, our management teams, our product lines, and how we are going to manage this ramp up.
Thank you so much for having us on today. I really appreciate the opportunity to provide our insight about 5G and also to talk about our vision for the future.
We are very excited about where we're headed, our road. Our management team is so committed, and the market is only becoming more and more hungry for what we have to offer. So we see this year as being an explosive part of our evolution.